What's up guys, Leo here on Master Mathematics, and today we'll be doing proportion. Let's get into that video right now. Proportion. Okay, so let's be putting that on the board here. Proportion. Okay, so with proportion, guys, we have two types of proportion. Proportion 1 is direct, and proportion 2 is inverse. Okay, so we have two proportions. Let's start with direct as number 1. Write that on there. Okay, so this is direct proportion. Direct proportion is kind of when there's two varying quantities and they are always in the same ratio. They are said to be directly proportional to one another. So let me say that again. If two varying quantities are always in the same ratio, they are said to be directly proportional. So we did ratio as our first video. If you want to check out ratio, check out my first video on the channel at Master Mathematics, and then you'll understand what ratio is, and then come back and watch this video. So, like we said, two varying ratios, okay, their quantities are always in the same ratio. They are said to be directly proportional. For example, let me give you an example of direct proportion. Okay, so the question is, a machine in a soft drink factory fills, as it says here, 840 bottles. Okay, and they do that in 6 hours. So guys, whenever you have a question, always underline the important phrases. So like we said, 840 bottles in 6 hours. That's a really important phrase. Okay, and the question is, how many bottles in 5 hours? Question mark, underline 5 hours information. Okay, so here we have it in 5 hours. Okay, let's figure it out as in 5 hours, okay? So, let's do that now, okay. Figure out how many in 5 hours, right, okay. So, first, we know that it's 840 bottles in 6H, as in 6 hours, right? So, the first thing you want to do is divide this by 6 to get 1 hour, because we want to find what one value is. Okay, so we divide this by 6 to get 1 hour, okay? But whatever we do to one side, you must do to here. Okay, this is why this is a direct proportion question. If direct proportion is that, for example, it's when this example, if you have 6 hours to make 840 bottle, it is common sense that if you divide the hours, which is if you make it into less hours, there will be less bottles. Okay, that is direct proportion. When you have less of something, you have less of something else. With inverse proportion, which we will be doing in the second half of this video, it will be that when one value is less, the other value is more. But direct proportion is when one value is less, the other value is also less. So we're going to also divide this by 6, because whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. And also, it's common sense, because if you divide this by 6 to get 1 hour, 840 bottles will be less because there is less time. that is a direct proportion. So 840 divided by 6 as according should be 140 bottles. Okay, but we want to find 5 hours. So we times this by 5 to get 5 hours. And we also times this by 5, okay, to get, as far as I know, 700 bottles. So 700 bottles is your answer in 5 hours. Okay, why did we do this? This is what you call a direct proportion. Because if you divide 6 hours, you have less bottles. If you times an hour to 5, you have more bottles because you have more time. So that is direct. Okay, but with inverse, which I will be showing you how to do right now, is a totally opposite story. Okay, I'll just be flipping the page there. Okay, so inverse, let's just write that on the board quickly. Inverse. Okay, inverse is when you have inverse when you have two quantities that are inversely proportional. Okay, for example, when one value doubles, the other value will half. Like we said with direct proportion, if we divide the time, we will get less bottles. But this, for example, is when we, for example, times the number of men, you half the number of time. So it's kind of opposite. But in an exam, if you had a question in an exam, you would have to figure it out using your common sense if it would be a direct or inverse proportion, due to the fact you need to think, would this be more or less? But you would understand what I mean when I show you this question. Okay, so question 1. 4, underline 4, bricklayers. Okay, 4 bricklayers can build a certain wall in 10 days. Underline 10 days because that is an important key fact. Okay, while bricklayers can build a certain wall in 10 days. Okay, how long would it take? Would it take 5, underline 5 bricklayers? Okay, how long would it take 5 bricklayers to build this wall? Okay, so we have 4 bricklayers that can build a certain wall in 10 days. How long would it take 5 bricklayers to build this same wall? Okay, let's try this question out. Okay, so four bricklayers in 10D for days. Okay, like we said, we want to get the days to one value. We want to get it to one value. So we divide it by 10 to get 1 day because we want one value, right? So that's 1 day. Okay, right. This is where it's an inverse proportion question. Think, okay, with direct, we would divide it by 10. But no, we're going to times it by 10 because the fewer the days, okay, the more the people. Wait, no, that is wrong question. Okay, so first what we want to do is we want to get it to one person because they want to find how much five people can do a brick wall. So we want to get it to one person. So we divide it by 4 to get one person. Okay, okay, you might think now that we've divided this by 4, right? We need to divide the days by 4 as well. But this is why it's an inverse proportion. Because, think about it. If you only have one person, okay, how could it take you 10 days? When 4 people take 10 days, you're dividing the number of people. That means it will take longer because there's less people to do it. That is where the inverse proportion is. So instead of dividing it by 4, you would times by 4, because the less the people, the longer the days. That's why they call it inverse, because it's not divide but times, so it's like opposite. 40 days, okay? Now we times the number of people by 5 because we want 5 people. So we times by 5, okay? To get 5 in, hold on a second. We don't times it by 5 because we have more people and more people take less days. So instead of timesing it by 5, we will divide by 5. So, okay, divide by 5, 40 divided by 5 equals to 8 days. Okay, so your answer is 8 days. Okay, that is because there's more people, and it makes sense because 4 people take 10 days. So one person's going to take 40 days, and 8 people is going to take 8 days, because the more, the less days, whilst the less, the more days. That's inverse and direct proportion to you guys. Thank you very much for watching this video, but I'm just going to go over what we've done again so that you fully understand what it means. Okay, so direct proportion is when you have 2 values. For example, 4 bottles, okay, in, let's say, 8 hours, okay? This is a direct question, so let's just be putting direct next to this question, okay? This is a direct question. So, 4 hours in 4 bottles, I'll put B for bottles, in 8 hours, okay guys? So, if you divide the number of time, okay, let's say we divide it by 2, okay, to get 4 hours, okay, you'll be doing the same with the bottles, because the less hours, okay, the less bottles, because it's common sense, right? So you'll also divide it by 2 to get 2 bottles in 4 hours, okay? That is common because the less time, the less bottles. Yeah, this is common sense. Whilst with inverse, okay, which is on there on the board, okay, if you had, for example, 4 people, P for people, okay, in 8 days, okay, the more people, okay, so let's say the more people, okay, the less days, because there's more people will take less days, right? So if you said you have times 5, you have 20 people, it would only take, divide by 5, it would only take whatever 8 divided by 5 means, which is, okay, (1.6). Only take 1.6 days, okay? Because the more people, the less days. With less people, it will be more days, okay? At the end of the day, if you have this as an exam, it's common sense. You have to think to yourself in an exam, is this an inverse question? Would it be that the less people, the more days? Or would it be a direct question where it's, you know, less hours, less bottles? So this is not a simple topic. Proportion is a hard topic because you have to figure out yourself if it's a direct or an inverse proportion. So I hope you understood what was in today's lesson, that what an inverse and direct proportion is and what an exam question could look like. And don't forget, in an exam, that you guys will have to decide if it's direct or inverse. And if you've decided what it is, if you've follow what I've done in today's video, you will get the correct answer. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe. We need to get to 1,000 subscribers to live stream. Don't forget about that one. And also, I'll be doing a video tomorrow about factorizing quadratics. This is another hard topic, but we'll be breaking it down in tomorrow's video. So join in 7 p.m. tomorrow at British times. Okay, we will be doing factorizing quadratics. Also, like and subscribe and comment down below if you need any help, and I will try to help you by making a video on the things that you are stuck in. And this is Leo, this is Master Mathematics, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow 7 p.m. in tomorrow's video.